Today, let's talk about eating good things, and I want to read to you the first two verses of Isaiah chapter 55, where Isaiah the prophet says this: Ho, everyone who thirsts, come to the waters, and you who have no money, come buy and eat. Yes, come buy wine and milk without money and without price. Why do you spend your money on what is not bread, and your wages for what does not satisfy? Listen carefully to me and eat what is good, and let your soul delight itself in abundance. Notice how the prophet Isaiah began this portion that we call Isaiah 55. He began it with the word ho. The prophet spoke to everybody who can hear. It's as if God bent down to plead with us. Please listen to me. May I have your attention? And then he says, everyone who thirsts, come to the waters. Only those who are thirsty will come to waters to drink. And if we aren't thirsty for what God can give us, then we will never come to his waters. Maybe Jesus had this passage from Isaiah in mind when he cried out in John chapter 7, if anyone thirsts, let him come to me and drink. And then he says, you who have no money, come buy and eat. Those who do thirst and who answer the Lord's invitation, they don't need to bring money. They can simply bring their trust and faith, and they can receive what God has to give them. You see, it's all free. The pictures Isaiah used here were of water and wine and milk. Everything that sustains us in our life with God is freely given to us. It isn't as if that entrance into the Christian life is free, and then you have to pay something to advance in the Christian life. No, it's all free. Our growth is just as much a gift of God's grace as our salvation is. It's just all a gift from his goodness. Therefore, the question is very logical. Why do you spend your money for what is not bread and your wages for what does not satisfy? You see, in this invitation through the prophet, God asked his people to ask themselves, why do I spend money for what can't satisfy? This is a remarkably relevant question in light of all the things that we pour our time and money and effort into, things which can never truly satisfy us the way that God can. That's why he says, listen diligently to me and eat what is good, and let your soul delight itself in abundance. The invitation is clear. The offer is made. The provision is made. And everything is available, but we must still do some things that are described there in verse 2. First, we must listen diligently. The satisfaction God promises doesn't come to those who don't listen and who refuse to listen diligently. It takes time and attention and effort to listen diligently. And some people aren't willing to do this. Second, we must eat what is good. And this requires some discernment. We must choose what is good and then eat that. You know, there are some people who just simply eat whatever spiritual meal is set before them. They don't ever take care to see whether or not it is good. Third, we must let our soul delight itself in abundance. Even when we listen, even when we eat what is good, we must still let our soul delight itself in abundance. You see, it is possible to sit down at a great spiritual meal, but by your stubborn attitude or your bad attitude, simply to not let your soul delight itself in abundance. Today, God has abundant life for you. So let your soul delight in it.